Okay, people, it's Sunday morning, and I got another one for you. See, I had a question, and my question was, why is the Strait of Hormuz open for a lot of different countries, except for our allies that are not going to vote against a ground invasion into Iran? So only those countries are not getting oil. So I did a little bit of research and I found out that they cutting deals. Some of them are NATO friends, some are considered allies. But what Donald Trump did is forcing them into a crisis situation. They have no oil and they're rapidly depleting their reserves. So who cut deals? First and foremost, France. France blocked a resolution that will call for the invasion of the Strait of Hormuz in the UN. And they denied Donald Trump the use of their airspace, and they don't want them using their ground for a jump off for his military operations. Who joined them in that? Well, quite a few people. And I found out that Spain, Switzerland, Australia, Japan, Italy, the Philippines, and yesterday the GGC said this. If you don't know who that is the people of the Saudi Arabian states. And they said Trump's escalation is counterproductive. What that tell you? They really don't want this to go on any longer. They're losing too much money. So I got a few more other questions. So the first question I got is, why aren't we hurting here in America like people are hurting over in South Korea, in Japan? I mean, they got people, they telling them don't even drive around in their cars, the oil's so low. They are shutting down universities and schools and stuff, the oil's so low. So why aren't we affected by that? Why aren't we shut down and screaming oil crisis? Matter of fact, Trump is saying we got plenty of oil.
Now, Donald Trump may be right that most of the oil that flows into America does not come through the Strait of Hormuz, and more of the oil that flows into Europe does.
Oh, okay. Gotta get that.
Problem for the United States is not just access to oil, it's the petrodollar. Basically, the reason your money is worth money is because other countries buy and sell oil in your money. They also buy and sell other things in your money as well, but we're going to focus on oil because that's kind of the backbone of the whole system. So you might have noticed that the United States is about $38 trillion in debt, and yet their entire economy still hasn't collapsed into smithereens.
Now, that right there, I mean, because I do understand about treasury bonds and things like that, which I'm sure he's going to get to. But the fact that he's asking for $1.5 trillion right now, that's going to increase the deficit for sure. And we already got to pay $1 trillion of interest on the $38 trillion that he's talking about. But I digress.
Now, the reason for this is everybody else buying and selling in your currency creates a very high demand for your currency. That means your government has the power to continuously create money out of thin air by borrowing from its own central bank, and all that new money doesn't devalue your money and create hyperinflation because there's such a high demand for your money. Now, your government's ability to do this, to create money without having it immediately lose its value, accounts for about 30 to 40% of their annual budget.
Wow, 30 to 40% of their annual budget. So if people stop using the dollar, the currency crashes and devalues, we'll be in some real serious trouble. I understand that.
Which means if other countries stop buying and selling, particularly oil, in your currency, your country will become immediately insolvent. Now, a lot of countries also purchase the debt that you owe yourself in order to profit from the interest payments that you have to make by borrowing more from yourself in order to keep sustaining this system, which again is.
So I do know that Japan and China were two of the highest debt holders of the debt of the United States. So now that she's pissed off because she didn't like her visit, she didn't like that Pearl Harbor joke. And when she got back to Japan, she drugged Donald Trump's ass to the ground.
Made possible by everybody else buying and selling in your money, which creates a perpetually increasing demand for your money. So if the demand goes away, then the value goes away, your ability to keep borrowing goes away, your ability to keep paying the interest on your existing debt goes away. Functionally, your entire economy goes away. Now, one of the ways you've been able to maintain this system as long as you have is this, right? It's this, right? Your military presence all over the world. Functionally, you're holding a gun to everyone's head and calling it protection.
That is so true. Because I remember once upon a time, we were friends with Iraq. We had Saddam put in power. We were friends with Iran. We had the old dictator put in power there. Well, we weren't always friends with Saudi Arabia and Qatar, especially you go back to the old Osama bin Laden days in 9/11. So we use that protection word. And as I see history, we always turn on them in the end. And we make their neighboring countries fight each other, like Iraq and Iran, or oil, like Saudi Arabia and Iran, or oil, Iraq and Saudi Arabia, oil. We make them fight each other, and we keep picking sides depending on who the dictator is that goes with our interests. In my book, I see that they don't care if they all kill each other. Ask Israel.
About 20% of all of the oil in all of the world flows through the Strait of Hormuz, which is now closed due to the incompetence of a government that relies on the sale of oil throughout the world for its economy to function. A government that also relies heavily on the appearance of military supremacy and competence.
Incompetence. Because they paying for all this protection, and we can't even protect our own over there in the Middle East. But Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Israel, all these people are depending on our either funds, our military, our bombs, something of the nature to protect them from what? From the fight that we started. That sound like protection? Or does it sound like a plan? A plan for them to fight each other? Because now that the war has started, Trump was like, hey, come on over here and help. Y'all need to come over here. I mean, we don't need it, but it sure would be nice. Just like, the world wars, we always jump in at the last second so we can make everybody go broke behind war. Then our money we can lend to everybody and help them rebuild, which keeps that perpetual thing going. You get it?
There are allegedly already negotiations underway for countries to be able to continue carrying oil through the Strait of Hormuz by agreeing to no longer buy and sell it in US dollars.
Oh, that was the art of the deal by Iran. See, they definitely want the American dollar to get devalued, to no longer to be the world currency, which is eventually going to happen because everything's going to go to digital. That's why Donald Trump is invested in the digital currency. He's trying to hold everybody hostage to say, yeah, you need to bring that money over here so we can continue to make money off of them. But I'm telling you, the way we are treating our allies, it's coming to an end.
I don't pretend to know exactly where this is going, but I do know that Donald Trump is consistently making submitting to US global economic supremacy less worthwhile for all of the countries around the world. And he seems to be doing it in service of interests that don't benefit his own people at all. And when I say his own people, I do mean regular people. When the dust settles, I'm sure all the sponsors and donors, all the billionaires and oligarchs, all the Epstein Club members will be doing fantastically. Because
I know exactly what he means. Because, like I've been telling everyone, Donald Trump could barely pay his bond when he was on the Eugene Carroll trial. He is now a multi-billionaire. in less than a year. In less than a year. That's due to the constant fleecing that he's using his position of the presidency for his son to make deals with these countries that he just said were holding a gun to their head, telling them, hey, we'll leave with our protection. But now the world is finding out you really don't have protection.
That's what always happens, right? Economically speaking. When the going gets tough, the rich get richer.
Y'all see what's happened to the women? Y'all remember when I said these are the throwaways, these picks that Donald Trump picked in his cabinet? I said the first year just going to be whoever boo-boo the fool is. Who is the biggest boo-boo the fool?
Come on, y'all, stop playing with me. Stop playing with me for real. Y'all better watch these videos. Y'all ain't paying attention. They shooting so many shots from all over the court, you don't know who to guard. You don't know what's real and what's bullshit. Let me try and help you out. Now, do you remember when I said this?
So we have had a lot of people up in arms about the picks that Donald Trump has been making for his cabinet. But I want to remind everyone what has really happened in the past. These could be just the people that have given him the most attention, that are the most loyal, and have paid their way into his cabinet. In other words, the throwaways.
And the predictions that I made, the only ones that haven't come true yet is that I said Donald Trump was going to start arresting governors, mayors, judges, anybody that goes against him. Because if you read Project 2025, you know he can't get all of that off unless he does that.